Welcome to the Global Roundtable, organized by the Global Foundation for Democracy and Development. Today we have the pleasure of the company of Mr. Ambassador Ahmed Sareer, Permanent Representative of the Republic of Maldives to the United Nations. Welcome, Mr. Ambassador. It's a pleasure to have you here today with us. And before we start our conversation, I would like to introduce your beautiful, stunning country to our audiences. The Republic of Maldives comprises 1,190 islands in 20 atolls spread over 900 kilometers in the Indian Ocean. Of these, just 199 islands are inhabited, with a population of slightly over 300,000 people. Occupying about 116 square miles, Maldives is slightly more than 1.5 times size of Washington, D.C. The environmental challenges that the Republic of Maldives faces include global warming and rising ocean levels. Rising ocean levels threaten the entire existence of the Maldives and its population of 339,000 citizens. In turn, the ocean also threatens the habitat of every human, plant, and land animal in the country, rendering the country extremely vulnerable to habitat loss, biodiversity loss, and species loss. Along with rising sea levels, increased beach erosion, more powerful storms, higher storm surges, depletion of freshwater aquifers, threatened water supplies, and are among the major threats that the Maldives faces due to climate change over the coming decade. In terms of economic challenges, nature-based tourism, Maldives' largest economic activity, accounts for 70% of GDP. Fishing is the second leading sector, but the fish catch has dropped sharply in recent years. Agriculture and manufacturing continue to play a lesser role in the economy, constrained by the limited availability of cultivable land, with only 10% of arable land, and the shortage of domestic labor. Mr. Ambassador, we would also like to say a few words about you, so our audiences become more familiar with your work. So you've been in the diplomatic career since 1986 and have served your country in relationship with a number of countries like Sri Lanka, Kathmandu. You were in Brussels, London, and Bangladesh. So it's a varied and a rich diplomatic career, and now recently from 2012 here in New York at the United Nations. So we tried to summarize a little bit and acquaint our audiences with the Maldives. But I would like to hear in your own words, what do you feel that the Maldives is facing now as the biggest threat and challenge?
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank you for having me here, and I also wish to say words of appreciation for the work that you have been doing. GFDD has been doing an enormous amount of good work for the concerns that we are having for small island states like the Maldives. And you have been raising a lot of these issues to the world, which is quite commendable. And the Dominican Republic is a member of the Association of Small Islands, so we share some common concerns. Of course, of course. Well, for the Maldives, you have very rightly mentioned, it is a country of the oceans. It is the country is only the territory is just 99% is oceans, and 1%, just a mere 1%, is land.
So it's an ocean country.
It is an ocean
country,
land country. Right in the middle of the Indian Ocean. It's 1,190 islands spread across such a large territory, and it is in a way quite a lot of challenges in its governance, as well as to see how these issues that are confronting us, especially with regard to climate change, we have been at the very forefront of the climate change.
So your country
aspects.
doesn't have any doubts that there is a climate change?
Well, I think the people themselves, they have been seeing it every day. Every day they have to experience this. And when we say that we have floods, when we have beach erosion, it is not a theory anymore. The Maldivian people are facing this, and the frequency of it and the intensity that we have seen now is much more. When I was little, as a child, I have never experienced those things in the Maldives. So obviously there is some change in the global climate, which we see now. Now we are seeing almost every second month or so, or week, we have some floods. And when I mention the floods, it is quite devastating to the island communities. We are having beach erosion, we are having ocean acidification, we are having issues with water. We are confronting with each and every issue that we are talking in the United Nations about the climate change. And we have also from a very long time had these issues raised in the United Nations. In fact, the Maldives was among the first countries that we raised this issue to the in the international stage, and thanks to the so many developing small island developing states got together in that formation, which now we have a group as a negotiating bloc to talk about.
So in a way, your country is like a canary in a mine.
That's right.
And you're telling the rest of the world, watch out, because what's happening here in our homes, in our country, on our land, is going to happen all across the world if we don't do something.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it is not restricted to the Maldives. Maldives is, as I said, you could say a laboratory that where you can see the climate change aspects by the people and visitors, especially the country being exposed to tourism and so many international travelers. They themselves see what we are talking about is true. So if the Maldives goes down in this path of devastation, and it is not necessarily it is only the small island states is going to be, but also the other bigger countries. The United States would have major devastation.
You mentioned acidification of the oceans. Like, it seems like the three biggest threats to the oceans right now are acidification, pollution, and overfishing. And all the countries in the world are feeling that. The Maldives, much more at this moment. You mentioned climate change, and are there any measures that the Maldives are taking in sense of adaptation and mitigation? There are already some changes in the country. Have you been in a position to adopt some adaptation changes or changes in your policies in order to face?
Well, Maldives has been trying its level best to do what it can, but what we are talking about is it has to be an international effort. It cannot be just a country alone that can resolve these issues, because these are all talking about the transboundary issues. It is international issues. It is what we are seeing. When I mentioned earlier about the water pollution in the Maldives. When I was a child, when we only have to dig a hole in the ground, just about 3 to 4 feet, you can get fresh water, and the wells are created, and we have been able to utilize this water, but not anymore. The water table has been, turned saline. It has been brackish. It is no longer, potable. These are, when we look into how.
Sorry, this is the effect of the climate change.
It is climate change. It is climate change, definitely, because the the global climate change and the sea level rise has contributed to that. There has been pollutants mixed with the water table, and that's why Maldives has a huge issue of on the one hand, Maldives was utilizing the rainwater for years, and we have been we have been very good at harvesting rainwater during the rainy season. But on the one hand, the climate change effects has contributed in the frequencies of rain is no longer no longer the same as before, where the people cannot harvest the rainwater. That is number one. Secondly, so the dry season, they don't have a way of getting the water. So in the recent past, the capital has to provide water to a lot of islands by boat, and that itself has contributed to huge costs. So who do you ask for it? I mean, the country, of course, has to provide this water to the people in the outer islands. And what is the water solution in Male, the capital? It is also not the natural process. We have a huge plant for desalination from the seawater, which is again so costly. Yes. So the desalination plant is providing piped water to all the households in Male, in the capital, which is a huge cost which cannot be provided to each and every island. Only very few islands has that investment. So during the dry season, we have been taking bucket loads of water to the other islands. Even in the last dry season, we have taken water to some over 80 islands in the outlying atolls in the boats, and that itself is a huge cost to the government. So to address these issues, Maldives government has been asking the United Nations system and the international community to assist these issues to be addressed in a much more meaningful manner. I mean, this is exactly what we have been asking the whole SDG process, the whole post-2015 development agenda as well.
So as you mentioned the whole SDG process, we know that your country, together with some other small island states within the association, have been even asking the SDG process to include ocean as a standalone goal and to put more emphasis on the ocean and not have ocean just be a part of some of the goals like it was the case in MDGs. What progress have you seen up till now, and what are you planning to do, your country and other small developing island states in that sense?
Well, when we talk about the oceans, we have been able to do quite a good groundwork during the Rio +20 conference. This was the first time where the small island states were able to bring that agenda into the UN process, whereby the Rio +20 document gave an acknowledgement, not only in one paragraph but in many paragraphs, on the importance of oceans.
So you made sure it were included.
Exactly. So that was a starting point. So what I was saying is that this starting point, we want to increase that momentum.
Yeah.
So I have this quote from the outcome document, paragraph 158 of the Rio +20, which clearly talks about what we are talking about, in the SDG process right now. It talks about that the only way oceans and seas has to be included in the Sustainable Development Program and in the whole development agenda, because that provides poverty eradication, it provides decent work, it provides food security. So these are the three components, the main three components which we are talking about in the SDG process. So so if we can continue with this, this is the hope that we have. And you mentioned the Alliance of Small Island States. especially the seeds, we have had this three preparatory process from the Pacific to the Caribbean to the Indian Ocean and Mediterranean process. So when in the intergovernmental process that was held in Barbados, we were able to again further to strengthen the process, to strengthen the need for oceans as a standalone goal to be included. And here in the Barbados conference, we mentioned that it is a source of livelihoods and it's an important element of identity for the people of the seeds, and therefore we concluded that oceans as a thematic priority and should be prominently reflected in the Sustainable Development Goals. And this was one of the quotes from the Barbados document. So our main target is, unless this oceans is included in the SDG goals as a standalone goal, it will be meaningless. And during the general debate in the UNGA, the Maldives also made that point, that SDG goals and the whole post-2015 development agenda would be meaningless unless oceans can be kept as a lively issue.
And then going back a little bit to what we started to talk about, how your country in a way is a representative of what the whole world is facing, in a sense that you're facing the threat of the climate change, and you are kind of led to a process of mitigation and adaptation, whether you want it or not. You are also a clear example of sustainable development challenges, because on one hand you have to feed your nation, your people. You're talking about the economy and economic growth and economic sustainability. On the other hand, these people depend on fishing and they depend on tourism. So how do you bring together fishing, tourism, economy, even in a context where we've learned that your country is planning to become the first marine reserve, first country marine reserve by 2017, and as you mentioned yourself in the conversations we had before, is you already have designated one atoll as a marine reserve, and it's part of the UNESCO heritage, international heritage system. So how is this working for Maldives? Because it's a challenge for the whole world.
Yes, actually the fisheries and tourism, they are the two sectors that the Maldives economy is dependent upon, and again it is based on the ocean-based economy. Therefore, we have to see what sort of measures that the Maldives government can take, and over the years we have been able to bring this issue to the fore of any developmental negotiations. And in the fisheries, we are one of the very unique countries where we have been from time immemorial, our fisher folk has concentrated on purely sustainable means of fisheries by pole and line fishing, which I could very comfortably say that perhaps the only country in the world which is practicing that. The fisher folk themselves have banned the net fishing. They have not allowed net fishing, and therefore our tuna which is caught is only dolphin friendly, or in the most sustainable manner, which we have been concentrating on that. Then there is the fisheries, the tourism. Tourism is again, we started tourism, we introduced in 1972 in the Maldives, where the tourism industry is also premised on sustainable methods. The government has very strict control on how a resort can be built. There has to be a certain area that can be only designated for having a structure built. The rest of the island has to be left as it is, and there has to be good methods of disposal of garbage. You can't just throw litter in the sea. So these have been regulated very highly. So
there are government policies and regulations that
very
are respected indoors.
When we have the how Maldives has been able to achieve as a tourist destination, one of the top tourist destinations, is through sustainable development methods. You know, that is something that the visitors, the travelers that come to the Maldives, they themselves, you know, appreciate.
And I guess it makes it also a more attractive tourism destination, because nowadays the customers, the tourists, really have a deep appreciation for it.
Yes, and we have introduced, you know, shark fishing and shark finning completely banned in the country, because that alone is such a attraction for the tourists. That is on the one hand. Secondly, on the conservation side, you know, if you go on, you know, taking you know, the sharks, it's not going to be, you know, any healthy for the ocean itself. So those are measures that our country alone has done, which we you know, would very much recommend other countries to, you know, follow.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. I will thank you so much for the visit and for this wonderful conversation. And I'm sure that Maldives will continue to come up with great new sustainable practices, and also presenting traditional sustainable practices that all the world can learn from. And we hope that as the organization, as Global Foundation for Democracy and Development, and other NGOs can support your cause, which is the cause of the whole world for sustainable development. Thank you so much for your visit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching the Global Roundtable, organized by the Global Foundation for Democracy and Development. Today we spoke to Mr. Ambassador Ahmed Sareer, Permanent Representative of the Republic of Maldives to the United Nations.